Hey guys, so first of all, don't mind my hair. I just washed my hair because I have a job interview tomorrow, and so it looks kind of crazy. But what I wanted to talk about was something that happened when I got my very first ever apartment on my own, and it had to do with the fact that I was only able to eat food at my workplace. So, to kind of set up the whole situation, I had rented a studio apartment. It was actually pretty nice for a little studio, pretty nice for, rural Wisconsin, because at that time I was living where my biological father lives in, um, well, not in Eagle River, Wisconsin, but close to there, in northern Wisconsin. And I was working doing housekeeping at a hotel and or like a lodge. They're basically the same thing, but it was a lodge. And so like I would have to leave my apartment like super early in the morning to be at work on time. And because like the hotel or the lodge served breakfast, like free continental breakfast, I was able to get the free breakfast in the morning, and I would make sure that I left my apartment a little bit early every morning just to be there on time to actually take advantage of that because with paying the rent on my apartment and gas for my car to get back and forth to work and all of those types of things. um, I really didn't have enough money to even buy groceries and, those necessities that you need in order to sustain life. So it was kind of ridiculous at that point. So basically, the only way that I was able to sustain myself was eating the continental breakfast at the hotel in the morning, which was usually like um, either an English muffin or two English muffins or a bagel or maybe two bagels with the cream cheese on it. Sometimes I got lucky and they had like the flavored cream cheese, which was like the strawberry or the blueberry flavors. Sometimes I would get lucky and they would have those available, so I would be sure to snag that when it was available. But other times they didn't, so it was just regular cream cheese. Um, but yeah, it was kind of embarrassing, and the only other like food that I was able to eat would be if guests had left like tips in the rooms, because there would be some guests who would leave tips in their rooms when they left for housekeeping, for whatever housekeeper would clean the rooms, and then we would split the tips between all of the housekeepers at the end of the day. And so each housekeeper would get a portion of the tips. And so sometimes I was lucky enough to be able to go to the gas station down the road from the hotel, um, before I went home from work, and I was able to get, whatever. I did have a couple of friends who also worked at the bar, because at the hotel there was also a bar that was connected to it. And so, those friends that would work in the bar, sometimes I would go in there and they would have like little bar snacks and stuff like that that I could, snack on while I was in there and just kind of have a conversation and get out of my apartment, because, it's lonely when you're by yourself. And I think at that time I was like 18 years old or something like that. I know I wasn't that old because when I lived there, it wasn't like that long after I had graduated from high school. So I wasn't like, you know, very well established on my own yet. I was still kind of figuring out like what the future had in store for me and all that stuff. And honestly, even to this day, I still don't know what the future has in store for me. Um, but I definitely feel like my life is more on track now than it was back then, obviously. Even more recently, like in the past few years, I feel like my life has kind of corrected itself a bit. And I've been taking the necessary steps in order to get my life like back on the straight and narrow, instead of, taking zigzags all over the place all the time. Um, but yeah, I was so poor that I could only, like, the only food that I could really afford to eat at that time was either like really cheap chicken sandwiches or, like the chicken patties or whatever from the gas station, or the free continental breakfast that was provided at the hotel that I worked at as a housekeeper. So, yeah, that's embarrassing, but I feel like a lot of people, especially when it's your very first apartment and you don't really know what to expect. I mean, as a young person, you really never know what to expect. You just kind of have to roll with it and, learn as you go. Um, so yeah, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of people who go through that, no matter what age it is that they decide to start living on their own for the very first time. I feel like a lot of people go through that, stage of not really having much money to buy food or sustenance. But yeah, that's my little story time video for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Like, comment, subscribe, share the video, and I will see you guys again tomorrow.